Big welcome to our channel. We are team crushing the meta, and you can call me D-Boy. I'm here for you guys with deck profile, but before I do this, I would like to know if you want to see a deck profile or Narukami's Vanquisher or not, because this deck will be featured in the next episode of Card for Vanguard Next. I wanted to know if you want to see a deck profile on this, and if that's the case, yeah, I will make sure to make you a deck profile this week that you can see this deck profile and enjoy the episode of the Narukami playing against, I think, Royal Paladins. So yeah, and also we can make a match of Narukami playing against Royal Paladin. But if you want to see a deck profile on that, put a comment in the comment section below for me to, or for us to make you a deck profile on that. Without further ado, let's just start with this deck profile, which would be on Dark Irregulars. I will go through the deck profile fast, and then after that I will tell you why I think that this deck is better than Charlotte Darkness deck. Well, let's just go for the grade 3s first. Let me see, I'm playing 4 copies of Sullivan. After that, 3 copies of the old Reiji and 2 copies of the new Reiji. You need to soul chart the new Reiji to get his skill off. Playing 3 of the old one because you do need the soul charge, and Sullivan is still of course your main grade 3, and also he also have the skill that give you the defense and also give you the soul charging, which is the same as the skill of the old Reiji. We will go into the combo later. Grade 2 lineup is simple, playing 4 copies of Flying Librarian, 3 copies of Double Vampire, which is the Silent Tome of this deck, and 4 copies of the Grade 2 Dimensional Creeper, which also has the skill when you call her into the field. If you have a Bladewing Vanguard, you can soul charge, and if you have her into your soul, you can soul blast her to get 2 extra soul charges. Grade 1, play 4 copies of the new Perfect Guard. So this is new. Her skill is when you have her in your soul and you have GB1 and you have Darkness. Darkness is if you have soul charged anything this turn that you get Darkness. You can retire a grade 1 or less, and you put this card from your soul into your hand. So this card is really good, especially in this deck, because you put the drop zone back into your deck, and you shuffle your deck, you soul charge more, and if you have her again in your soul, which is first was that a problem, you don't want to soul charge your Perfect Guard. Now if you soul charge her, it's even better because you can just get her back into your hand. So a very good card, a very good Perfect Guard. It's really good. It's really a shame that there is no SP on this card, because I think that the art is amazing. Next grade 1 is 4 Dimensional Creeper. The same with her. If you have him in your soul, you can soul blast him, and then you can soul charge more. So it's a very good card. Full the drop zone and full your soul. 3 copies of the Stride Father. This is a very stride heavy deck. You can also win without striding, but the strides is important, especially if you are if you don't have a lot of cards left in your deck and you just want to put the drop zone back into your deck. You need to stride for that, so that's why you play at least 3 copies of her. If you only play 8 grade 3s, then I would run 4 copies. And last but not least, because you have the Dimensional Creeper and because you have the grade 2 that also soul charges, you can play 2 copies of the Rain the Thruster to make a stronger Double Vampire and sometimes a stronger Gilderay. But for Gilderay and for the grade 3 Bladewing combo, we run Assassin. This is also the reason why this deck has the 3 Double Vampire and the 4 of the soul charging, because Assassin doesn't give you the extra soul charge, but she's really good with Gilderay. Her skill is you get her, she's not a foreigner, so she doesn't come off when you ride on the top of her, but if you have 10 or more cards in your soul, you can get her out of your soul, and that is on the beginning of your attack step, so you can still boost with her. If you have 10 or more cards, she get an extra 5k. If you have 15 or more, she would get an extra 15k. So she would be a 20k booster for Gilderay, which makes a very, very strong Gilderay. For the trigger lineup, playing 3 draw triggers. It's really hard to play draw triggers in this deck because you don't want to deck out, but you have to play them smart. And also you need them for the advantage because you don't really get a lot of hand advantage in this deck. For heal triggers, you need them for the G guarding and to heal. Because this deck could get rushed. You don't really have a very strong grade 2 game. That's why you do need the 4 heal triggers. Doesn't matter which one you want to play. I like all of the arts, so that's why I play one of each. Critical, you play 9. So playing first the one-eyed succubus, really good with the Charlotte Vampire Stride. Give you darkness, give him more power, and draw a card. Very good. Next, 4 copies of Dark Knight. He's also very good to give you darkness and to make your Liberian from 8k into 11k, which could hit anything on the field. And playing 1 more critical because you don't want to run 4 draw triggers in this deck, and because there is really no reason to play a stand trigger. I know that stand trigger is really good, but you don't really need that much extra soul charging, and you don't really need the unflip, and of course you don't really have anything to restand, especially if you go into the Charlotte Stride. For the strides, we play for the G Guardians first 2 copies of Saint German. On 10 cards in the soul, he gets an extra 10k. On 15 cards, he gets also resist, and all of your other Vanguards, Rearguards, Guardians get resist. So a very good card. Next, 3 copies of the Bat. You can play also 2 of her and 1 Desmiel if you want to. It's up to you. I like to play her more because she does help out with Sullivan's skill. Sullivan's skill means you need to have 15 cards, and sometimes when they attack you and you Soul Blast, you would have 13 or 14. Using her skill, when you guard with her, you can Soul Charge 2 more, and then Sullivan's skill will be active, so put her into 30k, which is very, very good. Next, I play 3 copies of the of the new Charlotte Vampire Stride. This card is really good. I started out playing 1, and then I thought, well, I could play 2 because you do use him twice. But also sometimes you even go into him 3 times because you can only use 2 Gilderays, and you want to keep a Gilderay when you know that you can finish your opponent off. So that's why you also use him, especially if they are at 2 or 3 damage. Then you just go into him because there is you could go into Gilderay, but sometimes you don't get the extra critical. So going into him and crit your opponent, or just do him the 4th damage, which makes him a very good Gilderay target. And also his ability to retire your opponent's field is also very good. So his skill, if you don't know him, it's counterblast of 1 if you have darkness, so that's why you use the critical trigger. When he attacks, you put all of your Rearguards into the soul. If you have 10 or more cards in your soul, he gets an extra 10k, and you retire all of your opponent Rearguards. And then if you have 15 or more cards in your soul, then your opponent can't guard with a perfect guard or a content wall. A very good card, especially that you can retire in your opponent's field, is very good. And also because you can use his skill with Gilderay, so going into him, your opponent would guard, and then the next turn you go into the Bladewing Stride, or if you have more cards in your deck, you would just go into Gilderay. Talking of Gilderay, this is still your best way to win the game. What he does is you unflip a copy of himself. If you have GB2, then he gets an extra critical. If you have 6 or more cards in your soul, he gets an extra 10k. no, if you have 10 or more, he gets an extra 10k, and if you have 15 or more, your opponent can't guard with a grade 1 or higher. They can intercept, and of course they can G-guard, but mostly they would just guard with triggers and G-guardians, maybe intercept. So a very good card, especially the extra critical, will finish your opponent off. Even if they are at 3 damage, there is a high chance that you will get a critical by playing 9 criticals. You could also take all the draw triggers out to put more criticals in this deck, because why not? You don't really have to play draws. It makes the deck even harder if you play draws, but I think it's a good challenge, and it does make you a better player. 3 copies of the Taboo, the the grade 4 Bladewing. He's really good. He's the one that puts the drop zone back into your deck. Soul charge 5. If you don't have 15 cards in your soul. If you have 15 cards, then he gives your front row Irregulars an extra 10k, which is also very good. But mostly he's in here because he put the drop zone back into your deck and you shuffle your deck. And the reason why I only play 3 copies of him is because I play 3 copies of Charlotte. But normally you could just play 2 copies of Charlotte and 4 copies of him. And last but not least, we play 1 Kiss Kill Lyra. Her skill is very good, especially when you go into her first and your opponent would only have 1 damage or 2 damage. So they want to go, they will let the attack through because they need the damage. Then you go into her. When she hits, you soul charge 2. If you have 6 or more cards in your soul, then you can draw a card, which is very good. Soul charge and draw is really good in this deck. So for the combo, the first one is very easy. It's to thin out your deck by soul charging a lot, and then you can soul blast with his skill the cards that you want to put back into your deck. So heal triggers, perfect guards, you can put them into your hand by using their skill, so you leave them in the soul. But triggers and key units, you put them back into your deck or in the drop zone using his skill, which is this is the part when I will be explaining the deck. So if you know what all the card does and all the combos, you can stop the video right here, and after this then I will be explaining the cards. So this could take too long if you don't want to, but if you want to see it, it's really nice because I will be explaining how the deck works, and also why is this deck better than Charlotte. So why is this deck better than Charlotte? You have 3 reasons to believe. The first one is you have his defensive skill, which is if he is at 15 cards in the soul, when you guard with anything, that card get an extra 10k. So let's say you put 2 draw triggers out there, they will be 15k each, so you will guard for 30k, 41. So it's a very good skill, but at the end of the battle, this unit is attacked. If you have 15 cards or more in your soul, you have to soul blast 2. That is a good thing. Why? Because you can soul blast anything that you want to put back into your deck using the stride. So you soul blast all of your triggers, and as I said, the key units, so like Liberian, stride fathers, anything that you want to put into your deck, you use his skill to put them into your trap zone and put them into your deck using your stride. The second reason why this deck is better than Charlotte is because you have the stride that give you the opportunity to get all the cards from the trap zone back into your deck. I know that there is the grade 1 that also gives you the option to put cards from your soul into your deck, but it is not good and not effective as the stride. And that's the same reason why some people run him and 2 copies of him in their Charlotte Vampire deck. It's because this card is really good. And the third reason is, so the first one was you can put all triggers back into your deck. Second one is you can put the drop zone, and the third one is, of course, he is a very good defensive card. Being able to give all your guardians an extra 10k is just amazing. That means you can guard with a guardian for the 30k, or even with the guardian that already get an extra 10k, he would be guarding for 35k. It's just crazy. The draw trigger will be guarding for 15k. Anything that you intercept with would guard for 15k, which makes decks like decks that use Gilderay or any skill that is simply the same as Gilderay, which you can't guard with grade 1s or you can't guard with grade 0s. It doesn't matter. This deck could guard anything with. You can even guard with just grade 3s, because even the grade 3s get an extra 10k. So that's why is this deck better than a Charlotte Vampire deck. So also we can talk about the starter, which help you to make a very strong Gilderay, as I said, but at the same time he also makes the combo of the Rages better. Why? Because normally you would attack with Ragey unboosted or boosted, but the problem with him is he lacks power. He only attacks for 10k, but boosted by the starter, when you get him out that turn, if you have 15 or more cards in your soul, this attack would attack for 30k, which means that your opponent would have to perfect guard it or put guardians out there, but they have to stop this because he attacks with 2 extra criticals, dealing 3 damage by himself. And because he's boosted, this attack would go for 30k, as I said. And then at the end of that battle, if the attack doesn't hit, which I hope for your opponent it doesn't hit, then you can ride him from your soul as stand, using his skill by counterblasting 1, discarding 3 cards, ride him, and then attack with him again. You can use his skill to soul blast 15 cards, because it doesn't matter, you don't have Sullivan anymore as your finger, so you don't need the soul to defend. So using that skill, he would get an extra 15k, and he also get an extra 2 criticals. So that means that the attack, the combo is now even better, attacking for 30k first and then attacking for 26 by himself unboosted, is very good. The next turn you can go into the Charlotte Vampire or into the Bladewing Stride to put the cards into your deck, but the Charlotte Vampire would also be very good because he would give you your starter back into your soul, which means that from there you can use her again next turn, and also he can full up your soul again, destroy your opponent's field. But if you lack the soul, then I would say go into the Bladewing Stride, put all the 15 cards or all the cards you have in the drop zone back into your deck. Is very good. And then because we have the Dimensional Creeper and the grade 2 Bladewing, is this deck could soul charge a lot in one turn, which makes a very strong Doreen the Thruster. Using Doreen the Thruster, boosting let's say double Vampire would make a very strong attack, and using double Vampire skill give him an extra 5k, and your opponent can't guard with a great 0s, means that your opponent would put even more G Guardians to stop this attack, or they would perfect guard it. But normally they would just guard this attack with G Guardians, which means they have less G Guardians to guard your Gilderay attack or your Charlotte Vampire attack. So this is how the deck works. It's very strong, it's very effective, especially against decks that make less attacks and more powerful attacks. This deck is very good. Also, if the game drags too long, if you're playing against a deck that doesn't end the game early, then this deck is very good because you almost can't deck out if you play the deck right, and if you think about the draw triggers, because you do have to keep that in mind if you play draw triggers, but you can also take them out to put more crits and finish your opponent off with criticals, especially because they can't guard most of your attacks with perfect guards. So yeah, that's why. So tell me what you think about the deck, if you really think that this deck is stronger than Charlotte Vampire. Also, I know that Charlotte Vampire has the ability to choose which cards they have in their soul. Let's say with his skill, you can choose which cards you have in your soul, especially with darkness abilities. like your preferred guard. You can put it into your soul, you can get her back into your hand. It's very good skills. Tell me what you think about the grade 2 lineup. There are a lot of other grade 2s that you can play in this deck, which has very interesting skill. Like Gwen the Reaper, you don't really use a lot of soul, a lot of counter charge, so you can use him. But at the same time, I don't run any cards that give you counter charge, as I said, so I do not like to use him. But her skill goes into the battle phase, so that's why I don't use her. He's really good, but I do like Librarian better than him, because you need to discard something with him, and with Librarian you don't. So, but he's 9k and he's not GB1, so I would understand if people want to run him. These two could boost, which are very interesting, especially her, because you can soul charge with her a lot each turn, and as I said, his skill is also very good. So tell me what you think about the deck, and tell me if you think that, if you agree with me on this deck being better than Charlotte Vampire. Also, remember to put a comment in the comment section below if you want to see a deck profile of Narukami, and maybe a match between Narukami and Brave or Royal Paladins or anything. So yeah, thanks for watching guys, and till next time.